Hello, guys. Simon, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to another podcast today. And it's good to have you, Simon, again. Welcome.
Yep, appreciate it.
And
Excited with the news
don't
that's just come out.
really, what news? What news? Anyway, we'll get into it.
Vinay's,
Get into it. What
yeah,
news?
Vinay's gone. Vinay's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, finally,
apparently what?
all CEOs from the the 12 teams, basically. I think it's in England, actually. The top 6 teams in the Premier League, they've all resigned, stepped down.
Wow.
So, Ed Woodward, Vinay, City's, Tottenham's, Liverpool's, and the other one. Bloody hell.
Oh, it's Ferran Torres and the Man City one.
That's the one.
Okay, so all of them, they've all left.
Yep.
Wow. The Super League fallout is still continuing. We're still seeing the ramifications for it. And don't worry, guys. George will be here. He's just running a bit late. He will be here. So we're gonna start off without him. Let's start off with what the Super League. Let's start with the Super League. I know we're like a week behind, but let's start with the Super League. What a mad week these mad 2 weeks it has been. And as you can see, just by me hearing that news, we're still going through the ramifications for the Super League. So what was your opinion, Simon, when you first heard of the news and it happening and stuff?
Well, with the Super League, to me, I was around when the Premier League started. Obviously, 1992. Not like at the age to understand everything, but the age that I knew what football was. So I didn't know anything about this breaking away and what does it mean. But back in them days, there were no social media. So when they broke away in 1992, when it was when the 5 teams basically that decided to break away from League One, and then David Dean, Mr. Arsenal, who was the founder of the Premier League, was the one that organised everything, which makes you think Stan Kroenke and how it all connects and basically joins up. But with me with Super League, I thought, I tell you what, that's not bad though. That I could be in with that, and I'd enjoy that.
Really, you enjoyed the Super League?
Yeah, I'd enjoy it, mate. Say you didn't have the Champions League. The Champions League got scrapped and it was the Super League. So you played your Premier League game as normal, and then when you got to your Champions League game, it'd be a Super League game. That's what I thought it was going to be. But obviously, you'd still have your Europa, you'd still have your Europa Conference that's coming in now, that kicks in next year, and you've got your Champions League. For me, they destroyed the Champions League years ago. It's called Champions League for a reason. You had the champions that were just all in one competition. But UEFA, and basically what they're like, everyone loves money. They just decided to go, right, we'll put the third one and we'll put the 4th team in. And then obviously it just grew from there. But everyone panicked and went mental. I was laughing. Gary Neville's bloody hell. Gary Neville's meltdown on Sky Sports, the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard in my life. I was laughing, me watching it. I was in stitches. And then Rio Ferdinand topped it even more by saying it'll kill grassroots football. And it's like, eh? How's that going to work then? How's that going to work? Because nobody really cares about grassroots football to begin with. But everyone's up in arms about it. Like he's saying basically, well, where's the money going to come from grassroots football? And it's like, Rio, if you're that bothered about grassroots football, take half of your money, mate, and go and give it to grassroots football. But you won't. And then Gary Neville basically saying that it's embarrassing, it's getting rid of everyone's history and all that rubbish. I guaranteed if the Super League was here now, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, and Rio Ferdinand, maybe even Michael Owen, they would be the first 4 people straight up there to be the presenters. Easily, not anybody come at me and say, no, you're talking rubbish. No chance, not having it. And then when he says it's an embarrassing to football, and who do these 6 teams think they are to come away from the Premier League? It's like in 1992, Tottenham, Everton, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United were the 5 teams that broke away from League One in 1992. And then basically all those players that were in it in the Premier League, I'd love to know what they would have thought at that time. And everyone's basically saying, well, it's just going to kill football altogether. There's going to be no competition if it's a closed league. It was never said it was a closed league because there were 5 spots remaining. So if there's 5 spots remaining, surely that's 5 teams that are dropping out. So that's promotion and relegation. And when you read the statement that they all came out with, everyone just jumped the gun because they saw 23 years. When they saw 23 years, it was the first 12 teams, the founders. So obviously I'm not going to name them, but you've got your 6 Premier Leagues and you've got the rest of them. And they were saying, oh, so it's a closed league then. No, it's not a closed league. The founders of it, which are the 12, they agreed with a contract to, and we've gone over contract in our group chat and everything. And Jasper, who goes on to it as well, spot on with what he says. Or she, we never know, we don't know.
It's AFC things, by the way, if you're wondering who Jasper is, follow him on Twitter. Very nice guy.
Yeah, he sounds very knowledgeable. But basically with these teams, and it was, I forgot where I'm going now with this. I've actually forgot where I'm going now with this. I don't know. I can't remember now where we're going with this.
Well, the founding members, you were talking about how they have contracts and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was it. So basically, them players that, like your Gary Neville, your Rio Ferdinand, when they first came into the Premier League, I'd love to know what they thought of breakaway. And everyone's basically saying that it'll kill football, that the young players will not come through. And it's like, well, no, because every young player is going to be loving that Super League. They're going to be lapping it up because they get to play with the best players in the world. They'll not be on those stupid contracts. And then what they also were saying is that the winner of the Super League, I think, gets like 400 million euros or something like that. Well, some of that money will be filtered down to the lower teams, and it will help them basically from not going under, like Bury and like other teams that are no longer with us. It would have filtered down, literally, and gone to your championships, your League Ones and your League Twos. It would have gone to your second division France. It would have gone to your second division Germany, all that sort of them teams. So I think people just went nuts a little bit too much, because I think it would have been very good for football. I think it would have been really good for football. But how they pitched it were 12 teams, 12 founders. You're all in this league, and they've seen 23. They've seen 23 years, and they've gone. So 23 years they can go in it, but never come out of it. That's obviously the contract that they've agreed. That's it. They've not described it to fans as well as they should have done. What they've done is they've threw it out and just gone, wait, this is happening. This is happening. You ain't got to say, this is happening. And then the fans of obviously Chelsea, Tottenham's quite funny for me. I was laughing when they said they want their Tottenham back. What Tottenham? Can somebody tell me what Tottenham you want back? And then it's like with Chelsea's protest, quite hypocritical as well, that they don't want to go into a league what gives them more money, more power, for more trophies and more players, best players in the world. Now we don't want that, apparently. So fans have just jumped the gun a little bit too much. But I'd love to have seen what social media, if it was there in 1992, would there be this much uproar? No, they wouldn't, because nobody would know anything. It'd be a half an hour explained on Match of the Day towards the end of the season. That's when they would do it. Because that's how the Premier League in 1992 did it. Nobody knew about it, apart from the 5 founders. And then teams in League One, Division 1 at that time, were wondering, well, how do we get into it? And then what they did was basically through the first year, when the new founders are in that league and it was named the Premier League, I think it were Bartley's at the time as well. I think it were Bartley, I'm not too sure, but There was a massive, like JP Morgan, that are funding the Super League. Somebody funded the Premier League, and look how that's gone through the years. Does anyone here regret the Premier League ever being established or being made as a league?
Wait,
Because I don't.
hold on. The problem is, you're right. No one complained about the Premier League. What? Because the Premier League provided a way to share the revenue that was got in positions between the different teams in the league. The problem that people have with the European Super League is they felt that the teams at the top of the league were getting the most part of the share, and they were worried because, as you said before, it wasn't explained properly how teams like West Ham can have a blinding season, be better than Arsenal. Yet because Arsenal are founding member of the Super League, they get to be in it without relegation. That's where I have a feeling people had a problem with it. Also, the big part of it, and Sammy, you kind of have to admit this, the owners did saw this as a money grab because the teams that had the founding member were going to make the most money, obviously, because they're the founding members, so they were getting the most players. And even if the teams that are going up in that competition, they will not get the same amount of money that the teams that are already the founding member will have. But with the Premier League, it splits the money fairly. That's why Arsenal, Real Madrid, all these teams broke away because they wanted the most money to themselves. That's what people had a problem with, I think.
Yeah, you've also got City when they win the Premier League this year. The Premier League winners don't get as much money as the Championship winners in the playoff as well. That's what these owners are saying as well, because it's like, hold on, we've just gone and won the Premier League, which is what people say, the biggest league, the best league in the world, the toughest, the most revenue. But Norwich, basically, who have come up, gone down and come up again, was whoever wins that Championship playoff this season, they receive more money than the winners of the Premier League. This is how crazy it is. The Championship winners, so basically Norwich have just won the Championship and they've come back up. They get more money than the winners who've just won the Champions League. This is what these owners were saying, and this is what it were like in Division 1. Arsenal won 1991, probably the best season ever for an Arsenal, if literally just unbelievable. But they won the league, and then basically they didn't get as much money for winning that league as I can't remember who won the UEFA Cup at the time. It was called the UEFA Cup. You got a better payout than you did for winning Division 1. And this is the crazy thing about it. And these are the little tweaks that they're going to have to do. But what they've also done, these billionaires, and this is how smart they are, and they've got to be smart because the billionaires, they've got to make ruthless decisions all the time and catch people out. And what they've done is that they've showed UEFA a mirror of themselves and gone, there you go. So where's this 4 billion come out of nowhere then that apparently you didn't have? And there's teams like Bury that have gone out. There's teams that are struggling in League One and League Two. In the French league, you've got the French league that's got no TV rights and it's on its ass, literally. But UEFA have just pulled out 4 billion for the new format for the Champions League. So it's like, this is what they've done. They've called their bluff, and UEFA have basically backed themselves into a corner, and they've gone, oh, we know now what they've done. They've basically just caught them out, but they've done it smart. They haven't done it from basically downing tools or spending stupid amounts of money to catch them out. They've broke away from the Premier League, and they broke away from Serie A, from La Liga, from wherever. And then what they've done is they've looked at UEFA and gone, right, it's your turn now. It's like chess. They've made their move, and now UEFA's made their move, and they've come out with a new format for the Champions League. So all these billionaires have gone, well, this just shows you how easy we can break away. And fans are saying basically how protesting, that they've stopped it all from happening. No, you haven't. Nowhere near as fans stopped it from happening. It's horrible to say, but a match-going fan has no right on how their football club should be run. Let's be honest. If Arsenal's Twitter account run Arsenal Football Club, we'd be in League Two. We'd be in League Two, man.
We're an asset, you know. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh yeah, guys, I didn't. George is here. Welcome back. Hello, George.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Sorry I'm
I
late.
kind of just
But guys, look, it's an asset, right? It's a corporation, so you've got to remove emotion from kind of the decision-making process at the club, right? So when you're looking at it, it's about choosing your poison. It's what I talked about on Twitter for like the last 2 weeks in terms of looking at a venture capitalist. They're going to look at it like an asset, right? So in terms of caring about it, we equate that to ambition in the market. That's really what we're after. We don't really care about how much Daniel really loves Arsenal. We want him to invest the money.
That's it.
That's the thing. So let's remove the virtue part of it, saying, "Oh, how much he cares. He looks so great. This is amazing." No, you think that he'll invest because you've seen a lack of investment or a perceived one. I've normally said, if we actually look back since 2018, we have spent over 200 million pounds in transfer fees. In consecutive summers, we've had the biggest deals, Pepe and Partey. Partey was a full release clause. That was the biggest deal on the market. Make no mistake about it. So in terms of investment, you have to be fair if you're going to bookend Josh versus Stan for me. And then the question becomes, what kind of owner do you want? What's the criteria? Is it a sugar daddy? Is it self-sustaining? That's the first question. Then the next question is, what kind of presence do you want? Because he was the only one that went to a fan forum, correct me if I'm wrong, and faced the fans after everything. And that wasn't done by any owner. So I'm not too sure what more presence is needed when a big situation like that happens personally. I think we handled ourselves the best out of all the top 6 clubs. We were the first to apologize. I didn't agree with the format, but you have to also be fair and look at it. The Champions League is the same thing. There's no meritocracy with that reform. The coefficient is the exact same issue that a lot of people had. It's the exact. So let's maybe separate.
People still have an issue with that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
Oh, sorry. It's like the protest for Arsenal. It's like the protest for Arsenal that we had before Everton. Yeah, it was fantastic, brilliant. So many fans turned up. They even astounded me because I thought it's only going to be like a few hundred that turn up, and it's like, wow, well done. You just shouted at an empty stadium when the owner's not even there. What's your next move then? Because if you're all going to renew your season tickets, if you're all going to go out and buy 3 Adidas kits in the summer, even if we ended up signing Neymar and Mbappe and bleeding Haaland, and you're going to go and buy shirts, what's the point? You've just wasted your time and effort shouting at an empty stadium.
Do you not
you need
think
to you need to vote with your feet, and you need to vote with your wallet. If you want this owner out, then don't buy merchandise. Don't go to games. If you do go to games because you've already got a season ticket and you're scared of losing it, which is understandable, I'm not going to tell you how not to support your club. I did it for ages, for the last 8 years, boycotted everything, stopped buying stuff, had stuff bought for me, didn't bother going to games, didn't bother watching them on TV, weren't doing it. But I was still contributing it with Sky because I've got Sky, but I'm watching Formula One, I'm watching boxing. They still get you on certain things. But you can force this owner out. Standing outside a stadium and just shouting Kroenke out all the time and basically protesting. And obviously I saw someone that got injured there as well. And like I said, when I saw it, somebody said to me, "Oh, God, I hope he's all right." And I went, I couldn't care what's happened to him. It's supposed to be a protest, the idiot. And he's trying to jump in front of a camera to show all his mates what he's doing. Idiot. So, no, I've got no sympathy for him. But basically, all these die-hard Arsenal fans, hardcore fans, part of AFTV that were there, fair play to you. Fair play to you. But if you're going to buy the new Arsenal kit in the summer and wear it on AFTV, you're an idiot. And that's why, exactly, I will not protest with those people. I'll do my own protest to get change.
You know what, mate? Like, I've brought up a couple points in the past about this where I think we're being very hypocritical about what we want. There needs to be a discussion on what is your perfect owner. Let's debate that. Let's not then go back in terms of what you define as investment. Because if you really want to go in terms of ambition, we have actually shown the most ambition in the transfer market in the last 2 years in terms of making the biggest deals. That was factually true ever since full ownership. Now, if you want a corporate takeover, okay, fine, but you have to understand that brings financial instability in our most important summer. This is not going to be turned around quickly. Even basic litigation will take at least a couple months if you did want another owner to happen. And why would they invest into an asset that is already leaving the club? So you have to accept that if a takeover is to happen, you also need to see this summer we're not investing, if you're on that side, and you need to be okay with that. And I would respect that opinion. I don't share it, but that is the consequence of what you're asking for. Now, if you want Josh to stay, which I do personally, I'll lay out the reasons really quickly. He has experience turning around large franchises. We know this from the Nuggets and the Avalanche, where he was given reins. That's happened in multiple sports. So he has the experience of running a franchise. That's the one criteria. The second one is I feel that he's present, because in the biggest moments, he has faced the fans more than other big owners, including Roman. We have had fan forums. We have had big interviews where we've seen him. So I have seen that presence. And then lastly, I've seen the investment. So I have seen the investment since 2018. For me, that meets my criteria of presence, investment, and also making sure to change hirings when they're wrong, aka Raul. He brought in Tim Lewis as an auditor as a consequence of recognizing that was a bad appointment. These things happen. It's a corporation. So when you make a hire, you got to recognize it's a bad hire and change it. He did that. So,
yeah, it's like basically with the Kroenkes, would you say the Kroenkes are good for Arsenal, as in fans and expectations and what they want? Yes or no?
Tough one. I don't think so, because I bookend.
All the fans want is a stay.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. So, so basically you're both saying no.
Yeah.
Is Stan Kroenke a very good owner of Arsenal Football Club?
No,
where he keeps
is not.
everything paid. He makes sure he pays things. The stadium's paid off. We're not in debt.
Oh,
I've done some research. I've done some research as well. And it's like that kind of thing. Be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen if Daniel takes over, Daniel Ek, if he's the new owner of Arsenal and it's not Kroenke, he could be buying us into debt. Now, if that happens, don't expect anything in a decade, because he will have to do a lot of work. If Josh is obviously they don't sell, and Josh is the new owner of Arsenal, which secretly he is. Stan isn't the owner; it's Josh. He's been the owner for the last 2 years. It's just not been official. So, and this is how you can see everything that's changed off the pitch, and now it's trying to change on the pitch. It's Josh that's running everything. So, if this Daniel comes in and he buys Arsenal, but not in debt, it's even better, because you haven't got the Kroenkes there anymore. You have a man who's an Arsenal fan. You have someone that's followed Arsenal for 30 years. He wants the best for the club. He wants to get the glory days back for the club. This is it. This is what you need to think. It's all easy. It's all good saying, yes, get Daniel in, get Stan out. Well, you could get Daniel in and Stan's gone and Josh is gone, but you've got so much debt. Even though the stadium's paid off, you've still got debt from what KSE have put into the club.
Yes,
and we've had that. Yeah, we've had that conversation in the chat, and us and Chelsea are a very different situation, including the Glazers. I've always said that we are the best asset on the market because we carry no debt. And people say, well, he has not, invested. 1 second, I'm going to change rooms. Actually, never mind. Okay, so and sorry, what I was saying was there's no debt, right? So when you're looking at the balance sheet, it doesn't carry the investment that they have had on it. We have refinanced loans. It's separate. So what he's done is he's devalued the risk economically with the club. So when you're buying the club, you're not buying an excess amount of years of debt. Roman has that. The Glazers have that. Man U and Chelsea are going to be in trouble if they don't have those owners in charge. When they sell it, you have to pay that money back. And so even Liverpool,
they're screwed.
So they're screwed. They are and so that's why I've said we are the best asset, and why we actually can drive the price up a lot larger than people think, because the risk in acquiring Arsenal is infinitely less than it is buying Liverpool, Man U.
There's no debt.
There's no debt.
It's paid the stadium off as well. It's fully paid off.
Exactly. And he's done it so that he can charge the interest and he can do it on his own terms. That is just smart business, guys. This isn't us choosing him lacking ambition. This is actually very smart financing. That's what it is at the end of the day. So I think you have to separate what you want and then debate the criteria. That's where I've stood on it. I have my opinions.
What upsets Arsenal what upsets Arsenal fans is what makes them go towards Daniel Egg. I both see your point. I'm just explaining from another fan's perspective. Is
Yeah.
Josh? It feels like they're very they don't speak a lot. Arsenal fans want to have like communication, not all Arsenal fans, because you two Arsenal fans and they have a different opinion, which is totally fine. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. But I heard someone speaking on AFTV. They were saying they just want an owner that communicates consistently to them. Like, for example, the Super League. What upset not just Arsenal fans in general, is that they did not consult the fans. They did not consult them. You're moving their club that they originally had shares to. They didn't actually want to sell it to you. We sold your shares to stay because Arsenal fans before Stan Kroenke acquired full control of Arsenal, they had shares. I think it was 10% shares. They had shares in the club. Did have shares in the club, and it wasn't until Stan bought out Usmanovs that he took full control of everything. Arsenal fans just want to they want to implement the 50+1 rule.
But you know what, mate? You know what? I see that view, but where was the energy with UEFA? That is the one issue that I have, because these reforms don't do that. Like, I think what we're doing is
the thing as the Super League.
Exactly. And so what I'm seeing is the media is portraying the wrong argument. You're not solving the 50+1, the fan ownership and control of your own club with UEFA. That's not happening. So don't place it, if you're in the other camp, you're against fan ownership, you're against fan responsibility in the club. That's not the question, because UEFA doesn't do that. They haven't for the last decade. They didn't care what they were doing with the reforms. They didn't consult the fans about expanding the format, which they did 8 years ago when they increased it to 32. They didn't do any of this stuff.
Yeah, so that's the thing as well, because I understand, right, that a fan wants to know what's happening with their club. But this, for me, is when I'm not so attached to this as I was before I even came onto YouTube. So basically, when fans turn around and say, well, they never told us that if we could go out to a Super League, and it's like, why would they?
Exactly.
Why? I'm not being nasty or anything, and we'll probably say something in the comments or anything, but as a football fan, you have no right to what happens with your club. You're a fan.
Why?
You pay to watch the game, because you don't. It's a business. It's not football anymore. Football used to be football. Now football is a business. All these businesses, your Man United, your Liverpool, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus.
Do you know what you just named, Simon?
They're not
clubs. It's
That's
globalization. It's not, and when you cross that line, it no longer becomes local. It's not a local issue. And this is the debate I've had a lot on here. You cannot claim local involvement in a global club. And
there's a petition going around as well. Someone's doing a petition.
Yeah,
it's actually very close. I've seen it, but the 50+1 petition, is it that one?
I think I've read it. I have read it, where they're wanting fans to have a say.
It's very close to 100,000. It has like 82,000 last time I checked.
It'll never pass.
This is the weird thing about it, because it could have 33 million% for me.
It will never be passed.
It makes no difference.
Yeah.
If fans have a say what happens with their club, I'm sorry, but from what I've experienced on social media, from what I've experienced with fans, not just Arsenal in general, you're going to have to be one of the most bravest owners to go, you know what? We'll put fans on the board and let them have a say. I guarantee if Arsenal did that, we'd be in League 2. No offence, we would. Fans being on a board is the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. What happens at a football club, this is the best way I can describe it, right? When we went into a pandemic and we went into a lockdown, did the owners, the Kroenkes, come to every single Arsenal fan, knock on their door and go, yeah, you know that seat that you've been sat there for 5 years? Am I okay to put Adidas on that or put Mercedes because they're going to help us revenue-wise? Instantly, they're going to say no. So that's already a hindrance to your club already. See, this is the thing with football fans, and I know it's horrible, but you've got to be cruel to be kind. You are a speck on the backside of Arsenal Football Club. You're his little speck. on the backside. This is the nicest way I can put it. And if they want to flick you off, they'll do it because it's a business. They do what's best for them.
The business.
They don't go to John or they don't go to Stephen down the road, who's been an Arsenal fan for 35 years, and say, excuse me, you can't sit in the Emirates anymore because there's a massive banner of Audi that are sponsoring us for 5 years. They will do it. And this is what is proved with this pandemic. Fans, we've all thought that football cannot survive without fans. It's done it for a year. It's done it for a year in the stadium. They've still got the money. They've lost money, but they've still got other stuff that they've done, like Tottenham. They've gone for the painting, basically, as a sponsor because they've lost a percentage of match-going fans that helps them. A team like where I am, Sheffield Wednesday, that have no fans in the stadium, they're on their ass. They cannot rely on sponsorships, and they can't rely on their owner feeding them in. They can't do that because they're not a luxurious and a juggernaut team as a club, as Manchester United, as Liverpool, even as Norwich City. Norwich City have actually started putting stuff on their chairs to resemble sponsors. You'll not see it because they'll not show it, but if you look at it, you'll see little sponsors that they've done. And it's little bits like that will get them through this pandemic. But Norwich City rely on their fans going into Carrow Road to help out with revenue. The big
and
six
so do we,
in the
by
Premier
the way.
League.
We have the biggest percentage of our income related to that.
Exactly. We make the biggest match-going revenue out of everyone in the world.
As a percentage of our income. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in total of our total income, our biggest percentage of what we pull in is actually match day compared to most clubs. So,
exactly.
I think the debate is that morality is one thing, but you can't mix that with venture capitalists. That's all I've been saying kind of on Twitter, where you're not going to find common ground in that way. So for me, let's build the criteria of what we want, right? I want presence. I want investment. And I want to have somebody there that will correct bad hires. That's essentially what I want. So,
how about this system I saw? I was asked to ask this. How about this system? You keep the same owner, but fans is like similar to like the Barca elections. They can vote for who, the owners show interest in the club, and they vote for which owner they prefer. Would you guys be happy with that system? And they'll be able to vote him out with like a vote of no confidence?
They could do something like that, but I guarantee all them votes.
It brings instability for me.
Yeah, they won't be verified. They'd just be chucked to one side, and then they come out with their own percentages. But then basically that's lying to fans, so that won't happen in the first place. But what these businesses will do, they'll not include the fans in anything. They won't, because one, they don't need to, and two, it's a business. They need to do what's best for them. It's like I said with Kroenke. I don't want Stan Kroenke here because he hasn't got Arsenal's best intention on the pitch. Off the pitch, he's a shit owner. He's up to date with everything. He takes loans out and pays them back with sooner than rather than later. He keeps on top of finances and everything like that. He makes sure that his contracts and with what Josh does and what they do for like finding players and stuff like that, the money's always there for Arsenal. Just because he don't plough 500 in one summer doesn't mean that he's not trying to do his best. He never bought. This is what baffles me with our fans, because when he came, what was his first slogan that he said to all fans when he first came? I didn't buy Arsenal for trophies. So you know exactly what sort of owner you're getting into. Roman, when he bought Chelsea, I'm here to make Chelsea the most successful club, not in this country, but in the world, on and off the pitch. And I will do all I can to bring glory to this club. Those were his exact words. And what did he do? In 10 years, he won about 12 trophies. He put Chelsea on the map. They were already like on the map in London, but as a global brand, they weren't. You didn't see many Chelsea shirts when Arsenal did the Invincible. it was very rare to find a Chelsea shirt. It was amazing to find a Tottenham shirt, even in London. Now you see these clubs and how they brought the global fan base because they can't get to games, so they have to do different things to help the global fan. And this is what they've done. They've brought Chelsea basically into this world. And there's so many Chelsea fans around the world. And it's down to Roman. And now he doesn't just plough his money into the club. He's now going for the self-sustaining model, like we've done, going to the Emirates.
Because it's not long-term, right? None of this stuff is long-term. So you're going to see a return back to what you want. So I think it's just set out your criteria, see if he meets it. If you're going to be doing electoral kind of stuff like what we've seen in other European teams, it would be very unstable to the long-term plan. So it's not self-sustaining because you never build enough of a pillar to see the vision for each president, right? So I don't like that model, but I think
works.
It works in some teams. I think
That's
it works
what I mean.
in Spain. You know, it is a different league. I think, and even the Premier League is like a different machine globally. So, yeah, it's a tough one though, right?
It's like Formula One. They've taken away brilliant tracks that fans love, that fans have had great memories on, and they've got rid of them. And now they're going to Miami. Now they're going to Azerbaijan. Now they're going to Imola again. So they're branching out. They're trying to get more global fans, not just like basically in the country where you watch Formula One. There's global fans everywhere now that they're trying to pull back in by going all over the world rather than just sticking to Europe and maybe going to Singapore and Japan. That's it.
But
it's true.
That's what people are worried about in football. Like you're going to be that people are worried about in a few years. You're going to see Arsenal versus Man United in Miami. What happens to the fans who have been there since the day? You never see that. Is that what you think that will never happen?
You will never see a North London derby in America unless it's a friendly. If it's a Premier League game, you'll never see it because one, UEFA won't allow it. Two, the Premier League won't allow it. Three, fans will riot, and even fans across a global world will riot because they're so used to seeing it traditional at home and away in one country. That's why they come over to watch it.
And the government won't. I think that was the big actually difference if you really look what happened in the last couple of weeks. It was actually the government intervention because, make no mistake, they make a lot of monetary advantage for them too. You know, they don't want to release it. So that'll never happen. I agree. I don't think it'll ever go international.
You'll see more derbies in pre-season friendlies. You will see more derbies. You'll see Tottenham and Arsenal play in, I don't know, Azerbaijan, but it's a pre-season friendly. And they'll do it where tickets are allocated and affordable as well to go and watch it. That's what they'll do. And that's basically giving back to the global fans. In England, you are still going to have to get a season ticket or you're going to have to somehow find 150, 200 quid to watch Arsenal and Tottenham at the Emirates. That'll always be traditional. They will never, ever allow that derby to go and play in another country. They won't do that. They can do it with boxing, they can do it with anything else, but they cannot do it with football because that's when you are basically, as I can say, that's where you're basically pissing about with English tradition, and they will not stand for that. I mean, Stan Kroenke, let's be honest, this is a guy that moved a whole state and had a whole state on his back, burning pictures of him, basically dolls of him getting smashed about and everything. He had death threats and a lot, and he didn't bat an eyelid. He still moved them as well. So that's the only thing with Stan. So you'll never see that anywhere. Not in this country.
I like I always say, let's move on to the next topic, and that's due to the breaking news that's been going on in these past few weeks. Daniel Ek. I've always said I'm not totally convinced by the Daniel Ek project, although I know what he's doing by bringing these invincible legends on board, you know, getting the fans on his side, which they very much are on his side. But I would prefer Josh Kroenke like Josh Kroenke in charge because he knows he already has the money. Not only that, he's more financially secure than Daniel Egg, by far.
Yeah.
And I feel like getting Daniel Egg is a gamble, very much a gamble. Like as I said in the chat, the grass isn't always green on the other side. As you said as well earlier, you're saying that if Arsenal buy the club, they'll go into so much debt. Like the debt we are going to go through right now, it's being covered by
Scary.
KSC. It's
Yeah.
scary.
It's scary debt.
It's bad debt, and KSC are covering all of it completely free. So we have no debt right now. Without them there, the debt that we'll have will be huge. Even for him, who's not even near Stan Kroenke's wealth, it would be struggles to get like the players he wants to bring in. So I feel like
you won't
now,
get any players. You won't get no players. You'd have to wait till 2030 to
like
actually
for me
compete.
right now, I would like Josh Kroenke.
And is no one
for me
worried
right
about
now,
the track record? It's like no one worried that where's the previous experience in any sporting franchises? Like anything.
Yeah, and what's the role for these legends? What's the role for them?
What is their background in a corporation? There's no question on the pitch. That's a very different world, though, and how to run things. Those are very different questions. And so while I understand and I appreciate the sentiment, I really worry about that thing, and that's not something I can predict. So I'm afraid of something I can't predict. And I know what I'm getting with the current structure, and I like it. So,
I don't like Stan. I can't stand Stan. He's not good for Arsenal at all. But Josh...
Agreed. But we need to bookend it, right? And
for
that's what I've been very clear.
I can literally see what Josh has been doing for 2 years. I'm not one of these fans that just jumps on it and goes, the Kroenkes are to blame. Josh has done a lot. Josh has done a lot in 2 years behind the scenes. He's the one that came over. He's the one that came over for 6 months.
6 months.
And oversaw not 6 months, sorry, 6 weeks, and oversaw Arsene Wenger and how chaos it was and how he was just not the same guy anymore. It was just, you could see he wanted out. And because he loves Arsenal that much, you can't turn around to Arsene Wenger and say, right, we're sacking you, or you have to leave. You're going to have to sack him because he's never going to resign. But Josh came over, oversaw everything, reported back to his dad, came back over, Wenger had gone. Then he came in and he was part of the board meeting for the new manager. He's been part of every meeting for a player and a project and a portfolio of what Emery and Arteta wanted. And and both managers have had the full backing. I know he wanted Wilfried Zaha, and with Thomas Partey, we couldn't get Pepe and Partey in the same one because it was a release clause. You had to pick which one.
The whole thing.
And there's more potential in Pepe long term as there was Thomas Partey. Even though I would have took Thomas, would snapped your hand off. But that's just me. So with Josh, you can see, and when you watch him on interviews, he does talk waffle sometimes, and he looks like he doesn't want to be there. You can see the guy's terrified. You can see the guy's terrified though when he speaks to fans. He's terrified. He doesn't want. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. When Wenger was here for his final year and the protests were going on, it was Josh telling Stan, we need to sell up. We need to sell up and just go because I can't take this. He's slowly grown him into the role, Stan. And then now he's walked away and gone, right, you're a big boy, look after yourself. And he's had Arteta, he's had Edu, he's had Ralstonelli, he's had Sven trying to coach him. But he's realised that Ralstonelli was a wrong fit. And what he's done, he's got Tim Lewis to go in and oversee everything. And then gone, right, you need to get rid of Raul because he's doing stuff that we don't want at this club. And look at Barcelona now with their signings. And half of those players are all down to Raul.
And,
look how much debt they owe to the agents.
Massive.
It's ridiculous.
And I'll just bring up a couple background structure points that I don't think people have actually considered. So since 2018, what has actually changed in the background for what we look at for our hierarchy? Marcel Lucassen, I don't know if people understand who he was and when he was hired, but he was hired in 2018 along with Per when we did change. And he was responsible for the change in the youth structure. So it's no mistake that what we're seeing, the production at the levels that we are, which haven't been seen in a decade because of their work. They have changed the way that we play in the academy, and they've changed how we progress. That's huge. Let's add also, in terms of other structure, Ben Napier, the loan manager, how we deal with loans has completely revolutionized and changed. It's done a lot of what Chelsea has done, which is to make more money. This has been distinctly different from what we did before. We interview teams in order to have our loaned players out. We fit to a philosophy. There's a plan. So when you start looking at the different cogs about what has actually changed at the club, it's been pretty drastic. Loans have a different mechanism. The youth advancement has a different mechanism. And our ID has a different mechanism. So I'm not too sure what else you want changed in a background structure beyond that.
That's it. And we also do the same thing as City. We don't get dragged into a bidding war. If it goes to a bidding war, we walk away. And if the player wants us, then we'll go back. Same as Hossim Alwar, when it was done everything, Juventus got involved.
Mm-hmm.
We told him, that's our deal. This is what we can offer you. This is why Arteta wants you. It's your choice. Now Juventus can't afford him. He's coming back to us. And we'll go to that later.
Yeah, so I mean, I just look at all of those things, right? And I look at the background. So when people ask me, like, well, what has he changed? Well, if you're going to blame him for Raul, you have to praise him for the Tim Lewis. You have to praise him for the Per. You have to praise him for the Arteta. If you don't like Edu, you have to be consistent in terms of your evaluation. The hires that we've made are greater than the misses. That's what I look at as the track record. I see two major ones.
I think the problem is it's because okay, the Arsenal fans would say, okay, why don't they announce it's Josh's club now? Make Josh the chairman then. And they would also say stuff like, okay, like for example, you're right. You said Stan Kroenke didn't want to buy stake for Arsenal trophies. Then the next time he gets into a big situation, he's saying, "Oh, we want to compete as we've always wanted to do to win for the toppest trophies." Arsenal fans are like, "Well, that's rubbish because you said you only bought us for trophies." So Arsenal fans are saying they're confused because they don't know what the owner wants.
I think they refuse to admit, if we're really being honest. I mean, look, I'm with you. I think a public announcement needs to happen, a changing of the guard. It has to be official. But I mean, you're kind of being a little bit ridiculous if you don't think that there was help in the last 2 years. Just looking logically.
If you announce it now that Josh is the owner and we're sat 10th in the league and we're trying to get to an Europa League final, it's going to make the fans go, well, Josh is in charge though now and we're 10th, so why is he even good? What they'll do is they'll just wait until it's a good period for Arsenal. If Arsenal win the Europa League this summer and we're in the Champions League, you will see then probably Josh come out and it'll all be official that he is the owner of Arsenal, and then you'll see Daniel Ek disappear. That's what I think could happen. But it'd be stupid to say that Josh is now the owner and has been for 2 years, and we're 10th in the league and trying to get through Unai Emery tonight. You're putting more pressure on Josh.
But they're also, but Arsenal saying, but that's the thing. But it makes Arsenal fans see Josh Kroenke as Stan, which clearly he's not. To me, Josh is like a whole different person to Stan.
But mate, did you? The media doesn't
cares
help.
More.
Yeah, he
cares
does,
more about Arsenal.
You know, lads, like the media don't help. Did you guys see my post with James Benge?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, it was straight up lies in terms of how 100%. He was portraying the fan forum. And, you know, I actually DM'd him and he said, well, I can't confirm or deny my post, my sources. And I go, okay, fair, whatever you want to say, but there's a transcript. So you can't argue with the cold hard facts. Why didn't you report it? And he didn't respond to me, but this is part of the problem and part of the culture. If we're not going to have accurate reporting about what was actually said at that forum, it's disingenuous, it's not fair, and I don't think it's objective because fans wouldn't see him in the same light if those quotes were read accurately. I'm convinced. He was against the final.
And the way James Bond was saying it was a lie.
It was bad.
Listened to that whole forum. He
Exactly.
fabricated it.
And you know what? They used that forum to shout. It was so bad. I had a list of questions that I would have asked. What is your short, medium, and long-term objectives for the club? How do you plan on meeting those objectives in the future? Can you give me the difference in the hierarchical structure? Who is our CEO? None of those were answered in the fan forum. It was all just shouting. What's the point of that?
Yeah, but they're very emotional. You know the Arsenal fans.
But,
they're always like that.
But why did we do that? Why?
I won't be surprised if Josh is the new position in Vinay.
That's what I think. Because
he comes in as Vinay's position, works closely with Edu and Arteta, and he's even more hands-on then. And then he can feed his way in and wait till a good period and then go, yeah, I'm the owner.
Well, and I had questions about like how does Richard Garlick fit into the new structure? How, like, what exactly is his role? You know, I understand that there's emotion in that stuff, but you know what? Honestly, like between us lads, like that is a waste of an opportunity. You're seeing a person that you see very rarely. Why not answer your questions? Don't become like a child and just shout because it makes you feel better. Get some answers. So it's shocking to me. I think the whole event was a shambles, to be honest with you, and it is what it is. But I think just to wrap it up on my opinion, let's make sure that we are on the same page about what type of criteria we evaluate people, and then be consistent. Let's do the same thing for the Super League. Let's do the same thing for UEFA. Let's be clear about what we're saying and not paint different pictures. That's my ultimate goal.
Yeah. And the thing with Daniel Ek, even though if he's not the owner, it'll also make Dangote basically listen up and go,
for sure,
bloody hell, I need to do something because I want this club. And if he owns it, then I'm well on board.
We're in a bidding war. We're in a bidding war, like guaranteed.
This is it. It's like when I watched Daniel Ek's interview and I looked and I listened to it and I went, oh, why is he saying that? Don't say that you want to buy Arsenal. Fans don't need to know what you're going to do. If I'm buying something, I'm keeping it behind closed doors. The less people know, the better. Because if I blurt it out and I say to someone, yeah, I'm buying Arsenal, what if the guy down the road wants to buy what I want as well? And then the guy overseas wants to buy it. And then I've got to go, I had everything lined up for 2 billion. Now I've got to spend 3 or 4.
Did you hear what Arsene
Everything
said?
behind closed doors is what Arsenal do. And it's why we've been so successful since 2015 with transfers, because it's behind closed doors.
Did you hear what Arsene said on BN at all?
I've not read too much into it because until he actually places a bid down, then I'll be interested.
You don't know about until it's too late. Because they can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
I don't know. But
he was basically telling them you're going about it the wrong way. That's basically what he was saying. If you want to read between the lines, right? And it's true. It's true. I don't understand the tactic, and I think it's going to fail because of this. Personally,
I don't think he's gonna even go near the club.
I think you got a question, Daniel. What are your thoughts on the Super League? Unless you want to move on from that, I don't know if we've discussed that to death at all. But did you?
I think he's definitely going to place a bid because he's got to. He's said too much now. He'd be an idiot if he didn't place a bid.
Yeah, I think it'll be low though. On purpose.
It'd look bad on Spotify as well because it'll go bad for them.
Yeah.
No,
the last thing you want is Arsenal fans on your back.
Anyway, let's move on to the we have actually a game today, a big game. These 2 weeks have been absolutely mad that this dulled this game so much. Anyway, I'm still energized for it. So what's your thoughts before this Villrreal game?
I was quite interested with Emery's interview, if anyone watched it.
I did.
I put the subtitles on though, so I had to pause it every time it came on.
I feel bad for him.
He's got no hate towards the club.
No, he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. He's got no hate towards Arsenal.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to knock us out and rub his nose in it. He says if we win, fair play. He hopes we win it, and then he says if they win, he wishes all the best in the future. He talked about Arteta before he got the Arsenal job and offered him to stay in his house in London. Didn't have to do that.
Nope.
A guy that's replacing you at your job, and he's offering for you to stay in there, so it's easier for you to
Not
get
only
to the
that,
club.
he was very open. He was very open with and sincere
The
with that.
squad
He told him
and
all the
talking
things
about
about Arsenal. He's actually such
I
a
liked
nice guy.
Henry.
He
I liked
really did.
It
Henry.
was just portrayed to everybody else that he was the main villain.
Of course, and you know
Yeah.
what? At the end of the day, he just couldn't communicate. But you know what? I admired how he went about it, and I admired his character. I can separate how I felt about his on the pitch dealings with who he was, and I think that's a really important thing because who he is actually a great man. So I think that's good. In terms of the game, though, I'm really excited. I think we have a great matchup. You're looking at a team that's a 4-4-2, mid to low block, really slow across the thirds. Their back line consists of Albiol, Pau Torres, and Juan Foyth. That's slower than probably all of them Marie. You're looking at Parejo, who's their main orchestrator in the middle, who's going to release Chukwueze and Marino, who is their main goal threat, who in reality is really quite slow. On paper, this is a much easier matchup than Slavia, who were a lot more counter-pressy and leggy. So the athleticism across the thirds is a lot different. So for us, we're looking at a really great matchup on paper. I'm looking for us to finish this tie today, 100%.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we get 2 or 3 goals. If we get 2 or 3 goals, we're through to the final. That's what I think.
I think it's going to be 3-0, and especially
Wow.
with all the players that are returned. Of course, because you know what? Let's look at like just
I got
the
a question
teams,
for you as well, George. I got a good
go for
question for you because I've seen this in group chat and it's made me laugh all the time.
Yeah.
What makes you so confident we're going to win the Europa? Because every time you say it, I look and I go, unless he's got a crystal ball or he's got a flux capacitor, I want to know why.
Well, you know what? I just look at the teams that are left, and I look at our starting 11, and it is miles apart to everybody who's left except for Man U. And they are a valid concern, but they have to score against us first. In every single meeting that we've had for the last 2 years in the league, they haven't scored since 2019. This is a fact. He's never beaten Arteta, not once. That's a fact. In terms of our starting 11, we have the ability to compete with every single one of their players regularly and have done since 2019 as a fact. So that's where my confidence lies. It's mainly to do with who's left and who's back. They're all back. And by the way, I think I told you guys, I knew that they would all come back now, right? We did talk about this in terms of their medical timelines. So you have to consider the squad that we have left and who we're facing, really. That's where my confidence
Let's talk
lies.
something about that. All those players are coming back. The Arsenal doctor did some masterclass. He told everybody else that those players were out on purpose.
Of course he did.
The other team, they wouldn't know which player is going to be fit for the game. So,
also
for example,
just for us,
probably
right?
Unai had a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's better for us because, we've got more quality than they expected.
Well, remember when you guys were saying that Kieran was out for the whole season? I was like, no, guys, it'll be 4 to 6 weeks. Don't worry. It was just because of the type of injury that he got, right? So I don't really trust whatever gets said on the media. So I knew what his timeline was, really. Just logically, it would be 4 to 6 weeks. And, this Thursday is just shy of 4 weeks, right? So that's kind of on pace. But I'm really confident because of just the team. Right, so Villrreal right now, they're a great matchup for us.
Yeah, I think the players will actually be up for it more than they were Slavia Prague.
And they just don't have the tools to hurt us. So
just don't play Granit Xhaka, please. Just don't. I don't want him left back. I don't
play
want
him in midfield. Play him in midfield.
No, I don't want him. I don't want him in midfield. Because there's no surprise that Dani Ceballos has looked good.
Sorry,
isn't he fast? He's pretty fast, isn't he?
Chukwueze.
He's rapid.
Of course,
he's rapid.
But he also has only 4 goals and 3 assists in 28 league games. He's more inconsistent than Pepe. So I'm of course he's the biggest. How I've described it, he's the biggest threat in a bad team. So that's how I see it. I think he'll definitely be the one to watch, but if we play to our potential, there's no scouting that we can't pull through, especially in this leg.
I know everyone's billing up the matchup against Emery versus Arteta, and I wanted to see, you know, how everyone says like how Emery was portrayed as a villain and he was kicked off for no reason, and how Arteta's given time. And I never really had a reason for why that was until like I spoke with people, I've talked to people, I've had meetings to people. What is it like being in that Arsenal training ground compared to what it was like with Arteta? And I got a few points down here if I can bring it out. And I just wanted to say and get your opinions on it. The first point is that one difference between Emery and Arteta is that, you know, Mikel Arteta is a very good communicator. You know, you can speak to him for like just 5 minutes and already you're running through brick walls for him. Whereas with Emery, it was very hard to get the message across. So it will like there'll be times where Arsenal players are generally so confused with what he's saying. It's like it's like they're making up tactical ways on how to beat the other team. That's what I heard, you know. Things like training. They would go to training like it was it's like, you know, when you're going to school. No, you have an exam the next day. You have an exam the next day and you're trying to remember everything you can in like 1 second. He's very, very like whereas Arteta is more precise, very skilled. Like things like that. Another thing is that Arteta is more confrontational than Unai Emery, which I found interesting. You know, I always thought that Emery was more, you know, especially with the training videos. So he was like, press. But it turns out in the training ground, Arteta is very, very, very more hands-on. He's more confrontational. And you saw that when he clashed heads with Guendouzi. He's he very clearly gets into players. And another thing that is, I think, what was the key thing between Mikel Arteta and Unai Emery, before Arteta was hired as a head coach, he was already acting like a manager, like managing wanting to know everything from top to bottom. Whereas Unai Emery just wanted to be the head coach. And I think that is the difference. Also with the fact that he couldn't communicate with the players. And just one more point, which I find is the most interesting thing of all. The quote that one of the people have said, you will see on The Athletic now, let me bring it up, is Unai lives in his own head, Mikel gets in others. So that's what I'm saying. Like Mikel's very persuasive. Mikel's very persuasive to the point where you'd get him. If I was playing for Mikel, I heard like if I was talking to him for 5 minutes, I end up running through a brick wall for him. Like that's what I mean. Like you get players committed to the project, whereas Unai Emery, he couldn't do that, which I found very interesting, and that's why I was told that Mikel Arteta has more credit in the bank, way more credit in the bank than Emery, despite the record that Unai Emery has. And let's face it, you know, watching the games that we're on, we didn't play well for majority of it. We were drawing a lot of games, to be fair, and only scraping like wins, and you know one loss and it crumbled. You know how the situation ended with Emery, which I found unfortunate. But like when I found these stuff out between Emery and Arteta, I found it interesting, and it really showed me why I'm very much Arteta in, and what I've been saying about Arteta this whole time. And I just wanted to get your opinions on it. So, yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised, because I think we've seen that in terms of the dealings that we've had to do throughout the summer. They've often cited his ability to convince of the project. No, I mean, between Flo, between Gabriel, many people have spoken of Partey himself, you know, many of them have spoken of his ability to sell the project. I think the communication is the biggest one. It's what I kind of said earlier with Emery. You know, he was a nice guy, but he could not communicate his tactics. And so that led to confusion. It led to doubt, because when you're not winning and the plan is not going to plan and you're don't have results to back it up, you're going to lose faith. And if you can't communicate with it, it becomes even muddled. So I'm not surprised to hear that. I think in terms of Mikel, you guys know my thoughts. I think we kind of did it last time as well. Really, we have to do the job on the pitch. right now, and I won't critique him until he has his squad, really. That's where I stand on the differences between the two. I think, Emery relied on other factors instead of taking charge. That's how I really distinguish the two. One set a culture and said, I will force the change, while the other one said, look, I have a plan, but maybe if you guys could go out and execute it, that would be great. That was kind of the mentality I got between the two. And he just wasn't able for the step up. I see Emery in a Villrreal team, essentially. That kind of level. I do see that. Somebody that wants to challenge for top 4, but not honors, if that makes sense. I don't know about you, Simon.
Yeah, it's like same as what you said, basically. With Emery, obviously Spanish, and he's back at La Liga, he's at Villarreal. He's actually in his element now. It'll be like when he was at Sevilla. All them players for Villarreal, they look at him and go, we're going to listen to him because he's head and shoulders above any player that's on the pitch. And I mean, like, with what he's won in his career. So it's like with Mourinho with Tottenham. No Tottenham player would take the piss out of him because it's Jose Mourinho. He's won more than what you'll ever see in your life, and so far it's been proven. And then basically, with Unai, you can see with his training and stuff that he was doing with the players. 1 minute he'd want him to go to high press, then he'd want him to come back, then he'd want Guendouzi to control from midfield. But for me, he overplayed Guendouzi a lot. He put too much responsibility on Guendouzi, and then that's when Guendouzi's head got a bit too big for his boots and thought that I'm from the second division of France and I've made it. If it was Arteta that first had Guendouzi, I think he would have grounded him down a little bit more. So I think that's what Arteta's got.
Was too high.
Yeah. So then basically with Arteta, I think he speaks like 7 languages.
He does.
I think Emery only speaks 3. So that's even better for a coach, can speak 7 languages, because then you don't have to get them to understand Spanish or English. It can speak in their language.
I can only speak 1 English.
I think the one thing that would worry me with Arteta and Emery is that when Emery realises something's gone wrong, he doesn't wait. He instantly reacts like Thomas Tuchel does. He don't leave it. He just reacts and gives the players plenty of time to do something. With Arteta, he'll be looking in the 60th minute and he'll go doing this. That's when you know he's not right with what he's seeing, and he'll leave it until the 75th and he'll go.
Who else did that, by the way?
Changes.
Who else did that? Do you guys know? Pep, but Arsene did that. Arsene was notorious for doing that, and actually he carries a similar mentality in terms of what he wants going into the game before halftime and afterwards. I see a lot of similarities. On the pitch, he's tactically different, but in terms of how he conducts the management, he actually is a lot more Arsene than Pep. And he is a little bit emotional. I think the 2 criticisms I have of him is squad management and changes, halftime changes or subs. I think he's poor, but I think he's learning. Like I said last time, in terms of his squad management, let's just look at the Pepe red card and the Granit Xhaka red card. Those were 6 months apart, and we have a young manager. But the same situation, he dealt with it very differently on purpose, and I praised him for his
guys. Wait, guys. Sorry to cut you guys. I've just seen the Arsenal team. Do you guys want to hear it? All right. So in goal, Leno. Right back, Chambers. Centre back pairing, holding Amari. Left back, Xhaka. Centre midfield, Partey, Ceballos. Saka, Odegaard's back, Smith Rowe, and Pepe's playing striker. Pepe's playing striker. Like
he did play striker at Lille. No, not striker, a false 9.
Well,
quite surprised with Xhaka on that left against Jilqueezy.
So he's doing.
Who's on the bench?
Oh, I'll see the bench. Let me just find it. I just had it.
Bench is
Ryan, Okonkwo, Bellerin, Gabriel, Cedric, Luiz, Nelson, El Neni, Nketiah, Martinelli, Willian, and Aubameyang. So no Tierney, but David Luiz David Luiz is on there, and Aubameyang.
No Lacazette.
Yeah, no Lacazette as well.
But you know what? With those players that he's listed, I wouldn't want them. So while it's unconventional, you have those back three, the ESR, Odegaard, Saka. That's your front line, right? What that means is that we need a runner, right? And Pepe is a runner, so I'm actually happy with the balance there. Laka wouldn't have worked with those three. You would have needed more wing forwards on the side. But it's an interesting lineup. I'm not sure, I'll be honest with you. But at least it had the front line that I wanted in terms of the ESR, Ode, and Saka.
What would you have changed, George? What would you have changed?
Well, I would have put Martinelli up front instead of Pepe with that front line. And I don't think I would have had Ceballos in there for sure. I'm not a fan. I would have actually had I would have had Elneny even, to be honest with you, because I prefer the structure. But it depends if we think that we're going to camp in their half, right? So I could maybe see Ceballos just because I think we're anticipating a low block, right? So in terms of a progression standpoint, he's probably better.
Oh, and Alcea, Chukwueze, and Mourinho is their front three from Villrreal. I haven't seen their lineup, but I've just seen that they have their typical lineup. Moreno's scoring goals for them as well. I'm worried about Moreno,
I'm not. He's 5'11", and he's really slow and not as physical. So he's not too much. I think Chukwueze is the one that starts things for them. But look, at the end of the day, it's what I said before. He's the biggest threat on a poor team, and we really should be putting it away.
People are saying Arteta's is a joke for putting Pepe up front. I disagree. Pepe had a brilliant season for Leo, playing him up front. Huh?
He did for over a season.
Yeah, he played up front and 22 goals, 10 assists.
And people are saying he's a joke. Okay. Anyway.
You can only say he's a joke when the game's done and Pepe's not took his chances, or Xhaka playing left back has brought down for a penalty. That's when you can turn around and say he's a joke. But you can't say he's a joke, and then we've won the game 3-0. Pepe scored 2 goals, and then Xhaka has scored a free kick. That's when you look a joke. So
it's talking about our balance, though, right, guys? So when you have those 3 behind you, you need a runner, right? And Pepe is that. So I'm not actually worried. I think that's smart. It's actually something that he's learned. The last couple times, I didn't think he had the balance in the front line. So
I probably would have gone with, I don't know, I would have gone with Ryan in goal.
Same.
Because Leno for me is worrying me. So I would have gone Leno in goal, Chambers at right back, Luiz and Gabriel as the centre back, Saka as the left back, and then I would have gone Partey, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and then I would have gone Martinelli, Pepe, and I would have gone on the other side. I would have fetched Reece Nelson in, actually. I would have brought Reece in on the other side because he's
sharpness.
Him and Nicolas Pepe just crossing over with each other, and Martinelli as the striker. I think I would have done something like that. But then you are actually taking away total balance in midfield at the minute.
That's the thing.
And then Odegaard wouldn't have as much time on the ball in midfield to pick those passes. So you can see why Ceballos is in there. Because Ceballos has looked good next to Partey.
Yeah, he looks good with small spaces, right? So if we're anticipating us to be in their half and we're anticipating to have the ball, I see it. But if you're asking him to run back to goal, we're in trouble.
But I can't see these dominators in midfield and dominators on counter-attack. If anything, I can see it going like Slavia Prague away when we just start fast. We need to be out at blocks like greyhounds.
They struggle against a counter press. They really do.
I'm more intrigued with Man United and Roma, me, because United fans are already booking their tickets.
Oh,
Disrespect to Roma.
You do guys, Roma are underrated. Roma are so underrated. I don't
They
get
are,
where
Roma.
they get this
Quality.
confidence from. I don't get where Man United have got this confidence from because they're second in the league. They're going to walk through all teams. I don't understand.
Yeah. It's like when they got knocked out at group stage. We're the favourites now for the Europa. Yeah. What? Because you couldn't hack Champions League.
Oh my gosh! Funny.
Let's see if Oli can actually get past the semi.
I'm trying to see if I can find their team. To be honest, I'm trying to see. Or did they play later? Now I can't find the team. Anyway, let's move on to what this guy was saying, like a few minutes ago. Any transfer news, Simon? You start off, and I'll tell you mine. Any new transfers?
I've only got 3 bits of news. That's about it, really. I've got news on Bazuma, news on Samari, and news on Osimawa. But I'll go and let George get his magic sock for Samari.
Just to call my news.
Oh my goodness!
I've got this. Oh, and Josh would explain our analysis on all of them. You know.
Yeah.
And how
go
much
on, Josh. Explain Sumari.
Well, so yeah, he's the best one on the market. So when you're looking at him between Basuma, why don't we do that? Because I think that's like the common question that people look at. Basuma is a behind the ball player, and he struggles running back to goal. All you have to do is look at our last game with Brighton and compare him with how he dealt with Emile Smith-Rowe, right? He got run around. And that's because he's also a small space player who needs to be camped at the halfway line and see the game in front of him. Sumari, on the other hand, he can run back to goal and he has controlled aggression. So what that means is that he can guide players without fouling them and guide them away from danger. And he does this with regularity. And he can also keep up with the same speed of Partey two-way. So when you're looking between the two, who is the best for providing us with the platform, it's Sumari by far. He's much better off the ball with the same on-the-ball ability that Basuma has. And he would be probably half the price, I'm assuming, with being a year left on his contract. And he's with Lille, so they have a lot of financial trouble. So between the two, it's both a better quality, but also a better financial deal. So he's clear for me.
Have you got Simon? You said you had news on Basuma? No, Basuma. Samari.
The news on Basuma doesn't relate as much to Arsenal, but what I've been told by 2 people. One person that I speak to and someone that I've had to reach out to, and they've confirmed it. But Bazuma is not going to Liverpool. That's off. So now Arsenal are the only team, as it stands, that have got a free run at Bazuma. He's already told Arsenal that he wants to go to Arsenal in the summer. He's already picked his number out. He wants the number 8 shirt. I did say number 4, and that was a mistake. We squashed that in the group. So yeah. So basically, he wants the number 8 shirt, and with Liverpool, they were really desperate to have him, and he didn't say no to Liverpool, but they were desperate to have him. But Brighton are asking for 40 to 45 million for Bazuma.
Ridiculous.
Liverpool have said no, that they're not going to entertain that because they don't want to spend that amount of money on a bench player. They don't want someone in the midfield. They're happy with the midfield they've got. They need someone that wants to come in off the bench and be basically an impact player. But Bazuma has also turned around and said to Liverpool, he doesn't want to be a bench player. He wants to be a starting 11. Arsenal have already offered him that. We've been over that before. Sumari has been in discussions with Arsenal for the last 2 weeks. His agent, representatives, Edu has held 2 meetings with Sumari's agent. He's also held a meeting with the owner of Lille, the old president. He's also actually reached out, the new president has actually been speaking to the old one about Sumari and his relationship with Arsenal, because he's told his agent that he wants to go to Arsenal. And with French players, French players and players in France, I don't understand with this whole connection with Arsenal, but they absolutely adore Arsenal.
I do, the Invincibles, mate.
Pretty much, and Wenger. but
And
they
Wenger.
absolutely adore. But Sumari wants reassurances that if he comes in, that he's either going to be a big part player or is he going to be in the starting 11 if Bazuma arrives as well. Arsenal want to bring both of them because of obviously the African Cup of Nations, but Sumari 100% wants Arsenal. Bazuma 100% wants Arsenal. Already picked his number as well. Hossim Aouar has held 4 discussions with Juventus. They've basically told Lille that they want to do a loan with an obligation to buy. Lille are not happy. Leon are not happy with that. So Juventus have been told, well, basically Juventus will have to sell 3 to 4 midfielders in the summer, and that's going to be a big ask because they don't want to lose money on the profits. So with Hossim Aouar, he's excited by Mikel Arteta. I don't know what he says at meetings. I don't know nothing about that, but he holds him very, very highly. If he does come to Arsenal, he will wear the number 10 shirt. So he has got the number 10 shirt because there was something to do with Smith Rowe and the number 10. But Arsenal, basically with Smith Rowe, have decided not to give Smith Rowe the 10 because they don't want to put too much pressure on the young kids. That's it, too much responsibility. So Hossim Aouar, the deal will still be the same as it were last summer, what I've been told anyway. So it's about 40 to 45 million euros, maybe a little bit less because of the situation Lyon are in. His brother has nothing to do with the discussions. They've all been sorted. Waserman are the ones discussing with Arsenal. The deal for personal terms has already been agreed. It's already been done. The fee's already been agreed. It doesn't rely on Champions League football.
But it would help.
Because it would help. It would massively help. Yeah. But he's very excited by Mikel Arteta's persistence in this player. He feels like that is adored, if you get what I mean, by the manager. He's told him that he's already get the number 10 shirts.
Well, you know what my opinion, guys, is like from a tactical standpoint, he is the archetype for that role that I've been discussing for months on Twitter, for the pseudo left wing role, right? That number 10. He is the perfect one, and he actually future-proofs the squad in terms of being able to have an extra midfielder if we wanted to go 4-3-3, right? He is perfect for both roles, and he's essential for making sure that we have the right players going forward.
And then basically the one negative I've got that you're not going to like and fans aren't going to like, Martin Odegaard is not staying. He's going back to Real Madrid. And if he does, when he does go back in the summer, when he goes back, in the summer, and you see him out on loan again somewhere else, don't be shocked and don't be surprised.
We've ruined our relationship, right?
He is Luka Modric's replacement. He wants to stay at Arsenal. Yeah. He actually wants to stay at Arsenal. He loves Arteta. He loves his philosophy. He loves how much adored he is at Arsenal. He loves where the club's told him where they want to go. He wants to be part of it. Madrid do not want to sell him. If you want him, it's 300 and what was it now?
His buyout 350 or something.
300 plus million if you want him, and they'll happily let him go. But that's a buyout clause. So make most of him while he's here because he ain't staying.
Well, you know what? I'm ecstatic about the Sumare news. You know that. For me, it's simple. He makes the most sense on the market, right? He's not tied up from the African Cup of Nations. He can't be more than 30 million. I can't imagine he's more than 30 million in the last year of his contract. There's no way. And between the two,
the discussion Arsenal and Leo talking about is like 15 and 15 between 15 and at least maximum 25 million pounds. It's not 30 million pounds. And
exactly.
That's the fact that last year of his contract.
That's and Lille are in trouble, right? So there's no way. And again, but you know what? I've talked to you guys. If we can get both of those, I'm not complaining. You know what I mean? Like if we can get more in midfield, that's awesome. But between the two, I would prioritize Sumare over Bassoum.
Well, the reason why Arsenal are wanting both is because Granit Xhaka's leaving in the
There
summer.
we go. And that
Him
would
and
make sense.
Bellerin are both going.
Yeah.
Bellerin's close to PSG, but other teams could come in for him in the summer. But Granit Xhaka is very, 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 very close, and I'm saying this with a smile on my face, to Hertha Berlin. Very close. His family is already
They want him back,
have already been looking in Germany for houses. That's why it's funny how we've not seen I know we've seen pictures, obviously, because his wife's just had another kid. And congratulations to her. And I think it were a girl anyway. But either way, baby looks adorable. So good luck to them. But yeah, they've already house hunted in Germany for Hertha Berlin. Basically, Guendouzi will be coming back to us in the summer, but he will be going straight back out. And it looks like he could be going to Lyon. It looks like he could be going to Lyon. It might even end up going on loan with an obligation. Arsenal just don't want him. Arsenal don't want him. It's got nothing to do with the Arwa deal. That's a separate deal, but Arsenal don't want him. The president has already held conversations with Guendouzi himself. So
you know what? Just add
Xhaka
Hakimi
will not be
and,
here.
Just add Hakimi, and you've got my window right since November 2020.
You waited for a year.
Well, everyone's panicking about that. Everyone's panicking about Hakimi when he says he wants to stay with Inter. All players around the world have said it.
Yeah.
If anyone comes for him, don't be surprised if he goes. Not just to us, but to anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
If you get them Inter Milan fans on your back, trust me, you will want them out.
Yeah.
That's why Bellerin's staying well away from Italy, because it just won't work for him. And he's been advised by Arsene Wenger to stay away from Italy. He's been advised to go to Paris.
PSG. Yeah.
Wenger's advised him to go there.
It also suits the team. You know, he's better than Florenzi.
That's it. It's pretty much all the information I've got. We all know Balogun's signed.
We're just waiting for Keto, right?
I've got a few. Yeah, that one's just taking this time. You know how Arsenal do. That one's done.
That'll probably be done at end of season. That Taylor Hart. That'll be announced at end of season. That.
Can't wait to release my thoughts on that.
In Nketiah, I was told something interesting. He's held talks with two clubs, one from the Championship and one from the Premier League. The Premier League team that have looked at Nketiah is Brighton, because I think we've all known Nketiah is leaving. Arsenal and Brighton have held talks for Nketiah, which I think is actually a good club for him. And the other team in the Championship, if I can remember their name, I had it on the top of the. Let me just go check something. Where is it?
He'd be excellent, by the way. While you check for that for Brighton, he'd be phenomenal, like a perfect fit for what they need. They just need a poacher, somebody between the 6 to 18 yard box that can finish. So that'd be an excellent move for him.
Just someone that's levels above Danny.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a good move for him. When I heard Brighton, the talks are it's between 15 to 25 million pounds for Nketiah, which I think is a massive profit.
That's excellent.
They have a fantastic relationship, Arsenal and Brighton, and you can see now why Bazuma has already picked his number. Mm-hmm. If they're happy to let Eddie go there.
Oh, and that's it. The other club was Swansea. Swansea, Brighton are the two clubs that have held talks with for Nketiah. Of course, you know Nketiah's preference would be to play at the highest level. So obviously his preference would be Brighton, but Brighton and Swansea have both held talks for Nketiah. Swansea, as far as I'm aware, they are not willing to pay the amount Arsenal require. They are more looking for an loan with an option to buy for I think for 15 million. Arsenal wants 25 million, ideally for Nketiah, but they're willing to come down to 15 between that price range. But with Brighton, I've been told that they are willing to pay because they need a striker. Let's face it, Brighton need a striker, and Nketiah is a perfect goal poacher. They're willing to pay the significant amount to get Nketiah in. Mm-hmm. But I've also heard Swansea have held talks for Nketiah as well, which I also think would be a great club for Nketiah as well, because Swansea are a club that needs a goal scorer. they're in the championship, fighting for playoffs. I don't think they're going to get it this year, but they need a goal scorer in their team, and they see Nketiah as a goal poacher for them.
Yeah, and Nketiah, that'd be a good fit for him, Brighton.
Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave the podcast today. Thank you, Simon, once again. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Oh, well, it's gone. It's my podcast now. Right, cheers, everyone. Make sure you slap the like button.
Yeah, press subscribe, I guess, and we'll
Yes.
definitely see you guys soon, you lads.
We'll have some more videos for you as well, some more information when we do. We'll try and make these videos more frequent, basically.
Absolutely.
Subscribe as well to the Highbury podcast with Sophie, PG and Kevin. Absolutely fantastic. Make sure you subscribe to the Transfer Exchange as well. Every Sunday and Wednesday that they do their transfer special now. I've started watching. Very, very good. Been looking forward. I've always wanted them to do that. Have their own little section for transfers, because when I used to do it, it was just funny how they used to just go, transfers! You'd literally see the comments. So they've got their own section for it now. So yeah, KS1 TV, Kieran Stewart, Transfer Exchange, absolutely brilliant.
Awesome. And follow the lads on socials here, I guess, right? So and we'll definitely try to make this a regular thing. Like I look forward to these things. So thanks for the opportunity, and everyone hit like, and we'll see you soon.
See you later, everyone. Cheers.
See you, lads.
Anyway, I'm back. I don't know what happened, but I'm back. Anyway, bye, guys.